Lies of P is a weird game. It's a Souls-like game with a Pinocchio teen story and gorgeous graphics, and I love it, but I am a little torn about it also. Before I start ranting about it, let me tell you a quick kind of a summary of the story of Lies of P, so beware of spoilers. You play as a Victorian twink that wakes up from a dentist appointment and hear the mysterious voice of a woman that tells you that everything has gone to shit in the city and Puppet has gone crazy, Puppets being this world version of robots. All except you, of course, because you are special. The voice tells you that you need to go where she and some other survivors are. After meeting up with her, she tells you to go rescue your creator that is somewhere being held up by some weird cosplayer. After rescuing him, he gives you a pat on the back, tells you that he is your father and to go and continue rescue some more people and make your way to the King of Puppets, because he is the one controlling all the other puppets. But before that, you need to become stronger by killing more puppets along the way. So you go on killing more puppets and some more cosplayers, and eventually find and destroy the King of Puppets. But then, the game gives you a twist and tells you that there is a man named Manus behind it all, and you need to go and defeat him next. So you move on, but start to notice that the game is beginning to feel less Nier Automata and more The Last of Us, with weird looking zombies roaming around. After a while, the hotel where all the survivors are is attacked, so you need to go back where your girlfriend is. When you get there, you'll find out that your pups was abducted, and you must go to the Alchemist Island to rescue him and finally find Manus, who is there gathering Ergo to become a god himself. Ergo being the energy that gives power to puppets and turns people into monsters. When you get to the island, you also discover that you are a puppet made in the appearance of your pup's real son named Carlo that died long ago, but you don't really care about it, so you continue forward. Then, inside of the bad guy castle, you find your girlfriend's real body, because somehow, until before you went to the island, she was using a fake body and projecting her soul into it to find you and bring you here to help her. Then she tells you to kill her because she is suffering, so you being a good boy do as she asks and kill her. After that, you keep looking for Manus until you find him. Then you kick his ass and rescue your pups. But wait, because in the most obvious twist, it results that your pups is the actual villain that orchestrated all the events so far because he wanted to make you strong enough to nurture your heart, like figuratively and literally, so he can take it off you and put it in an android version of his real son's body to revive him. I honestly didn't get this part. Why make a second puppet? Weren't you already based on his son? And you also were magically becoming human somehow, so why make this new one? Anyway, you can decide to continue to be a good boy and give him your heart, killing yourself in the process, or go into your rebellious phase and kick your replacement's ass. And if you decide to fight him, your pups ultimately save you in the end. And this is basically the story of Lies of P. Is Lies of P a good game? I think it's the best Souls game not made by From Software that I have played so far. But it's by no means a perfect game. It has problems. Oh yes, it has them. For starters, there is a ridiculous difficulty spike somewhere around half of the game that I am pretty sure made many players quit the game. Up until that point, every boss has its quirkiness but was somewhat fair. When I died there, I usually thought that it was my fault, but after that mid-game fight, I started to see the deeper problems of the combat of Lies of P. Very much apart from the fact that this mid-game boss and many others after that are very hard compared to the early game ones. So hard in fact that the next update of the game made them somewhat a little easy to kill. These fights highlighted some problems that the game had since the beginning. So, the way the combat on Lies of P works is very similar to Dark Souls in its methodical nature. You have to be precise on your hit windows or you will be hit back and lose your stand. Now, the difference here is that in Lies of P there is no poise meter, meaning that if an enemy hits you, you will be stunned or taken down no matter what, being the latter of those options a death sentence in some cases. This is different than Elden Ring, for example, that has an invisible poison meter that basically means that each time an enemy hits you, this poison meter fills up, and when it's full, you will be stunned for a brief moment. This poise fills depending on how high is your poise stat and how much poise damage the enemy does. Without these poise features on Lies of P means that you need to be more careful when you trade blows with another enemy. This can be a little stressful when I'm preparing a heavy attack with my big ass sword to a boss, and then he farts in my general direction and I get knocked back and my attack animation cancels. To be fair, there is an additional caveat to the combat that is, I think, a way to balance this pointless game. That is the block and perfect block mechanic. The difference between block and perfect block in this game is simple. When you press the block button and the enemy hits you, you still lose a portion of your life, although less than without blocking. But you also now have the opportunity to regain part of your missing life if you hit back fast enough at your enemy. It's kinda like in Bloodborne, but only if you are blocking when hit. Now, the perfect block is different in that for it to activate, you need to press the block button right when you are just about to get hit. If properly done, you will not lose any life, and as a bonus, in the case of bosses and some tough enemies, you will feel an invisible stagger meter on the enemies. That stagger meter can also be filled by attacking normally, but the perfect block fills it a little quicker. And when this stagger meter fills up, you can do massive damage to the enemy in one hit. For this, I think perfect block is almost broken if used properly. And be aware, you can block anything in Lies of P, not just weapon attacks, but also any kind of projectile or any other kind of attack your enemy has. This is all good and all, but the problem is that many bosses, especially past the mid-game, have some of the crazy combos that I have ever seen, with crazy random patterns or long-ass combos that make my blocking finger bleed. There are also ways to make these combat mechanics easier, but are somewhat hidden and very missable inside of another one of Lies of P mechanics, the P organ. The P organ is like a skill tree that serves you by expanding and stretching your recovering items, adding accessory slots and unlocking some extra combat skills, like dodging for example. Now, dodging exists without the help of the P organ skills, but is very limited and in some cases useless. The P organ unlocks two additional dodging skills: the ability to dodge twice in a row, very useful to dodge some bosses' attacks, because the single dodge doesn't really have a lot of reach. And the last ability is the one that permits you to dodge after you are taken down by an enemy. This means that without this ability, you need time to recover after being taken down and can dodge or block any subsequent enemy attacks, so there is a chance to get hit multiple times if an enemy has quick cooldowns in its attacks. In the P organ, you need to spend from 2 to 4 special items for each skill you want to unlock, and additionally, each time you spend one of these items, you can choose a passive skill that range from attacking skills like additional stagger window for enemies to support ones like more potency to your recovering items. The P organ is a nice addition on paper, but is one of the worst aspects of the game in my opinion, beginning with the fact that there are very limited number of these special items you need to upgrade the P organ in one playthrough, to the possibility of missing out on very useful skills like the additional dodge skills. I think especially for the dodge skills, they should have been available since the beginning, or at least being granted organically throughout the main story automatically. Here I have been complaining a lot about the game, but I actually love it. I just think that these things I pointed out held back the game from actually being perfect. That being said, I really hope that the studio responsible keeps the good work and fix these small issues in their next game. Because, as anyone that has seen the ending knows, this might be just the beginning of a very interesting franchise. Thank you for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you next time.